Hello again everyone and welcome back to Everyday Intelligence, the channel where we learn and use military and intelligence instruments to understand the world around us. Today we are going to talk about information warfare, the weaponization and management of information and communication technology in pursuit of an informational advantage over an opponent, influencing his decision-making process. Modern information technologies have created conditions for the confrontation of states, combatants, and non-state actors in a fundamentally new arena, the information sphere. Information processing, and communications networks are at the core of every military activity. The concepts of time, space, force, navigation, speed, precision, and lethality have changed because of the capabilities of information age technology and the availability of information. These changes have a tremendous effect on how military forces conduct activities. The current threats, adversaries, and competitors address this issue through continued refinement of their information warfare doctrine. Threats, adversaries, and competitors. From now on we will use the term threat for practicality, define information warfare as the specifically planned and integrated actions taken to achieve an information advantage at critical points and times. The goal of information warfare is to influence decision makers. The threats conduct information warfare at all levels of warfare, strategic, operational, and tactical, but without regard to strict definitional boundaries among these levels. Opponents of the state are subject to information warfare regardless of the level and degree of engagement in other types of operations. The state's leadership integrates all instruments of power: diplomatic, political, economic, military, and informational to implement an information strategy. One element of power may have primacy over the others at a given time, but all work together. In the threat's view, skillful application of information warfare can facilitate the defeat of a technologically superior enemy. It can challenge or counter an enemy's goal of information dominance. The threat can target key components, such as technology providing situational awareness, and advanced computing and communications technologies, that provide such dominance, thus shaking the opponent's confidence. The state envisions an operational environment in which the battle space stretches from the depths of an opponent's territory to the center of the state's political, economic, and military organizations. This operational environment is conducive to the practice of information warfare. Combat cannot be confined to a single battle space, but instead will often expand globally to encompass attacks on an adversary's information and space systems or his entire information environment. Information is a powerful strategic, operational, and tactical multiplier. It enhances leadership and magnifies the effects of maneuver, firepower, and protection at decisive points. A threat can use information as a component of combat power to shape the operational environment and create the conditions for employing the other components of its combat power. Information has become a vital strategic and operational resource. A threat clearly understands the power of information and the revolution in information technology and is actively developing doctrine and tactics to supplement more traditional types of war fighting. A threat can use information warfare activities to create and/or exploit windows of opportunity for itself. The importance of information, and its flow and control, to the conduct of military operations is not a new concept. Current threats have for years employed an integrated approach to attacking, disrupting, or manipulating information inside the enemy's decision-making cycle. Objectives have included not only the systems and information its enemies collect, process, and analyze, but also the leaders and the decisions they make. What is new, however, is the speed and volume of information available. Networking, routing, and switching technologies, and the global connectivity of information systems and infrastructures. This information explosion, coupled with an integrated information warfare doctrine, provides the threat a greater opportunity to inflict damage, trigger chaos, weaken national will, or permanently cripple an opponent. In effect, information warfare challenges traditional approaches to warfare. The following are ways in which information redefines operations. Most of today's information environment is outside of military control, making it harder to regulate, dominate, or protect. While neither the state nor its opponents can control the global information environment or global information infrastructure, they must prepare to operate within it. This information infrastructure is defined as the worldwide interconnection of communications networks, computers, databases, and consumer electronics that make vast amounts of information available to users. Within the global information infrastructure, various countries have their own national information infrastructures and defense information infrastructures. The national information infrastructure is the physical and virtual backbone of a nation. It is composed of multiple critical infrastructures. Critical infrastructures are those information and communication assets, systems, and functions so vital to a nation that their disruption or destruction would have a debilitating effect on national security, economy, governance, public health and safety, and morale. The defense information infrastructure is defined as the shared or interconnected system of computers, communications, data applications, security, people, training, and other support structures serving an actor's defense needs. This infrastructure connects computers used for mission support, command and control, and intelligence through voice, telecommunications, imagery, video, and multimedia services. The interaction of these information infrastructures introduces multiple actors into the information environment. This increases vulnerabilities and dependencies and creates many legal issues. Current threats understand that there is no clear-cut line of demarcation between the military, economic, and diplomatic political aspects of an operation or strategic campaign, and that the informational element cuts across the other three. Therefore, it uses all types of information warfare across all these dimensions. In an information-based world, the boundaries between nations, individuals, and private sector organizations can be undefined and nebulous. The traditional distinction between enemy and friendly forces becomes harder to observe, define, and ultimately defend against. Current threats are keenly aware of this development and can use it to their advantage when conducting information warfare actions. For example, the threat could employ third-party individuals or organizations, either domestic or international, to conduct information warfare activities, making traceability difficult. There may also be an inherent difficulty in isolating a specific threat information warfare activity. For example, the distinction between threat-sponsored information warfare attacks and other types of activities and events, such as espionage, accidents, system failures, disgruntled employee actions, and hacker pranks, are hard to distinguish. This period of confusion, and time spent trying to identify the attacker, can benefit and be manipulated by the threat. The interaction of the various information infrastructures compresses and blurs the distinction among tactics, operations, and strategy. For example, images of tactical military actions, disseminated by the media, are likely to influence strategic decision-makers or the populace. Thus, perception management is a critical piece of information warfare. A threat constantly attempts to spin any conflict or situation to its advantage. Information warfare planning and implementation emphasizes increased use of psychological warfare and deception designed to manipulate public opinion, coupled with attacks against an opponent's centers of gravity. New information-based techniques and tools can dramatically increase the ability to conduct perception management and supporting deception operations. Modern technologies allow threats to target a global audience for support and sympathy. Current threats stress the importance of perception management from the strategic to the tactical level. Rapid advances in technology have produced an incredibly complex global information environment. Information and communications technologies have grown exponentially in recent years. Satellite and cellular communications, direct broadcast television, expanding the awareness of events, issues, and military activities, personal computers, global positioning system technologies, wireless communication capabilities, and the Internet are a few examples of the capabilities widely available to nations, as well as independent organizations and individuals. Given such advances, the capabilities of both current threats and their potential adversaries are increasing in both sophistication and lethality. Threats try to exploit such technologies to gain the operational advantage. The state is committed to creating an information technology research and development base. However, until such a capability is developed, the state actively seeks international sources, overt and covert, and commercial off-the-shelf products to satisfy its civilian and military requirements. Current threats focus their investment strategy on the following areas: computers, including increasingly complex distributed information systems, telecommunications, traditional and wireless communications, electronics, to included microelectronics, computer-integrated manufacturing, nanotechnology, robotics, biotechnology, space-based communications, sophisticated sensing capabilities. Threats can manipulate an enemy's unresolved problems of interoperability and dependence on commercial off-the-shelf systems to its advantage. Commercial off-the-shelf materials are usually not hardened against electronic spikes, remote collection capabilities, or extreme weather conditions. Threats understand that security cannot be constructed or guaranteed when depending on commercial off-the-shelf. For example, if hackers, working independently or for a government or criminal organization, disrupted internet communications or links while a military operation was in progress, information exchange between combat units could be severely disrupted. Current threats recognize the increasing dependence of modern extra-regional forces on information systems and the desire to obtain information superiority. However, threats also understand that information superiority does not equate to perfect information, nor does it eliminate the fog of war. Information systems, processes, and links add their own source of friction and vulnerability to the operational environment. Systems and senses can be tricked, destroyed, or overwhelmed with data, thus causing an enemy to question the value and validity of his gathered intelligence. Threats seek to exploit this uncertainty and friction at all times. A threat recognizes that it cannot stand toe-to-toe with most extra-regional enemies in a conventional war, and therefore seeks to target enemy weaknesses. Information warfare will be the tool of choice to counter a technologically superior opponent and to challenge his relative information dominance. In addition, information warfare actions designed to break the will of a conventionally more powerful adversary will be common. Societies rely increasingly on a high-performance, networked information infrastructure for everything from air travel to electric power generation and telecommunications to financial transactions. This means that a new set of lucrative strategic and operational targets is now open to attack. Current threats will focus all elements of their power, as well as the states, on the destruction of the adversary's critical information infrastructures. In contrast to other forms of warfare, information warfare actions might occur without access to large financial resources or backing or without state sponsorship. Information weapons could be software logic bombs or computer worms and viruses. Information warfare could be conducted with such easily accessible means such as cellular telephones and the internet. Threats information warfare occurs through the combinations of 7 elements: electronic warfare, computer warfare, deception, physical destruction, protection and security measures, perception management, information attack. The 7 elements of information warfare do not exist in isolation from one another and are not mutually exclusive. Often they are mutually supporting. The overlapping of functions, means, and targets makes it necessary that they all be integrated into a single, integrated information warfare plan. However, effective execution of information warfare does not necessarily involve the use of all elements concurrently. Although one element might be all that is required to successfully execute a tactical information warfare action, that would seldom be the case at the operational level. Likewise, using one element or sub-element, such as camouflage, does not by itself necessarily constitute an operational application of information warfare. The use of each element or a combination of elements is determined by the operational situation and support to the overall strategic objective. The size and sophistication of an enemy force also determines the extent to which the threat employs the various elements of information warfare. The commander has the freedom to mix and match elements to best suit his operational needs, within the bounds of guidance from higher headquarters. Electronic warfare consists of measures conducted to control or deny the enemy's use of the electromagnetic spectrum, while ensuring its use by the state and the threat. Electronic warfare capabilities allow the threat to exploit, deceive, degrade, disrupt, damage, or destroy sensors, processes, and command and control nodes. Spectrum supremacy and delay, denial, or distortions of information in the adversary's information infrastructure are the objectives. At a minimum, the goal of threat electronic warfare is to control the use of the electromagnetic spectrum at critical locations and times in the battlespace or to attack the enemy. To accomplish these electronic warfare goals and objectives, the threat employs both lethal and non-lethal measures. Lethal electronic warfare activities include the physical destruction of high-priority targets supporting the enemy's decision-making process, such as reconnaissance sensors, command posts, and communication systems. They also include activities such as lethal air defense suppression measures. If available, precision munitions can degrade or eliminate high-technology command and control assets and associated links. Non-lethal means range from signals reconnaissance and electronic jamming to the deployment of corner reflectors, protective countermeasures, and deception jammers. Sophisticated camouflage, deception, decoy, or mock-up systems can degrade the effects of enemy reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition systems. Also, the threat can employ low-cost GPS jammers to disrupt enemy precision munitions targeting, sensor-to-shooter links, and navigation. Electronic warfare activities especially focus on the enemy's advanced command and control systems developed to provide real-time force synchronization and shared situational awareness. The enemy relies on the availability of friendly and enemy force composition and locations, digital mapping displays, and automated targeting data. By targeting vulnerable communications links, the threat can disrupt the enemy's ability to digitally transfer and share such information. The threat enhances its own survivability through disrupting the enemy's ability to mass fires with dispersed forces, while increasing enemy crew and staff workloads and disrupting his fratricide prevention measures. Electronic warfare is a perfect example of the integrated nature of threat information warfare elements. It overlaps significantly with protection and security measures, deception, and physical destruction. Reconnaissance, aviation, air defense, artillery, and engineer support may all contribute to successful electronic warfare for information warfare purposes. Computer warfare consists of attacks that focus specifically on the computer systems, networks, and/or nodes. This includes a wide variety of activities, ranging from unauthorized access defined as hacking of information systems for intelligence collection purposes, to the insertion of malicious software, viruses, worms, logic bombs, or Trojan horses, and deceptive information entry into enemy computer systems. Such attacks concentrate on the denial, disruption, or manipulation of the infrastructure's integrity. The threat may attempt to accomplish these activities through the use of agents or third-party individuals with direct access to enemy information systems. It can also continually access and attack systems at great distances via communications links such as the Internet. Threats computer warfare activities may be conducted prior to or during a military action. For example, by accessing databases related to an enemy's projected force deployments and troop movements, the threat can effectively disrupt planning and misdirect movement, producing substantial confusion and delays. As modern armies increasingly rely on just-in-time logistics support, targeting logistics-related computers and databases can produce delays in the arrival of critical materiel such as ammunition, fuel, and spare parts during critical phases of a conflict. The threat can successfully conduct invasive computer warfare activities from the safety of its own territory, given the distributed ability to reach targeted computers anywhere in the world, as long as they are connected to the Internet. The threat can continuously exploit the highly integrated information systems of an adversary. Threat deception activities include measures designed to mislead adversaries by manipulation, distortion, or falsification of information. The aim of deception is to influence opponents' situational understanding and lead them to act in a manner that favors the threat or is prejudicial to their own interests. Deception measures are a part of every military operation, and are also used to achieve political and economic goals. The international media may be a target for deceptive information at the operational level, being fed false stories and video that portray tactical-level actions with the goal of influencing operational or even strategic decisions. The threat applies all forms of deception in support of information warfare. These range from physical decoys and electronic devices to operational activities. The threat can even use its own information systems to pass misleading or false information in support of deception activities. Such information may cause the adversary to analyze incorrectly threat capabilities and intentions. Because of the number and sophistication of sensors available to an extra-regional adversary, the threat recognizes that a multispectral effort is required to deceive him. This includes providing false or misleading thermal, visual, and electronic signatures. Successful deception activities depend on the identification and exploitation of enemy information systems and networks, as well as other conduits, for introducing deceptive information. Knowing how the conduits receive, process, analyze, and distribute information are priority intelligence requirements for the threat. Physical destruction, as an element of information warfare, involves measures to destroy critical components of the enemy's information infrastructure. The threat integrates all types of conventional and precision weapon systems to conduct the destructive fires, to include fixed and rotary wing aviation, cannon artillery, multiple rocket launchers, and surface-to-surface missiles. It can also utilize other means of destruction, such as explosives delivered by special purpose forces, insurgents, terrorists, or even co-opted civilians. The threat may integrate all forms of destructive fires, especially artillery and aviation, with other information warfare activities. Physical destruction activities are integrated with jamming to maximize their effects. Specific missions are carefully timed and coordinated with the information warfare plan and the actions of the supported units. Due to the mobility and fleeting nature of many information warfare targets, precision weapons deliver the munitions of choice against many high-value targets. The increased accuracy provided by such weapons allows the threat to attack specific information warfare-related targets rapidly and accurately. The threat continues to research and develop directed energy weapons, to include radio frequency weapons and high-power lasers. The purpose of protection and security measures in information warfare is to protect the threat's information infrastructure, maintain threat capabilities for effective command and control, and deny protected information to other actors. The threat continues to develop capabilities to effectively preserve its command and control at all levels of command. Protection and security measures conducted as part of information warfare include information collection, processing, and utilization, reconnaissance and counter-reconnaissance, information and operations security, camouflage, concealment, cover, and deception, force protection, secure use of information collection and processing systems. Information and operations security is used to protect the physical and intellectual assets used to facilitate command and control. It must function continuously to be effective. It must conceal not only operational intentions, current locations and configurations, and actions but also the tactics, techniques, and procedures of information systems employment and operation. Current threats clearly understand the importance of information security. Commanders understand their vulnerabilities to being attacked through their own information systems and develop means to protect these systems. In addition, the threat must be capable of isolating attacks on its information systems while maintaining the ability to execute. In order to reduce the vulnerability, the threat emphasizes strong communications, computer, and transmission security. It uses all state assets to support this process and supply the necessary resources and intelligence. The threat gives particular attention to protective measures aimed at reducing the enemy's ability to target and engage threat systems with precision munitions. Knowing that the enemy cannot attack what his reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition systems do not find, the threat employs a variety of camouflage, concealment, cover, and deception techniques. These range from the most simple and inexpensive methods to hide from observation to the most modern multispectral signature-reducing technology. All threat units can use one or more forms of technical camouflage. The purpose of these techniques is to alter the appearance of personnel and equipment and to blend them with the surrounding terrain. Capabilities available include natural concealment, camouflage paint, artificial camouflage, nets and screens, anti-radar camouflage, radar-absorbing nets and paints, decoy equipment, mock-ups, and deception positions, light and thermal camouflage, smoke camouflage. Perception management involves measures aimed at creating a perception of truth that furthers the threat's objectives. It integrates several widely differing activities that use a combination of true, false, misleading, or manipulated information. Enemy or foreign audiences, as well as the state's own public, may be targets. Perception management can include misinformation, media manipulation, and psychological warfare. Perception management is critically important to all types of threat operations. Psychological warfare is the capability and activities designed to influence selected friendly, neutral, and/or hostile target audiences' attitudes and behaviors in support of the threat. Psychological warfare can target either specific decision-making systems or the entire information system of the target audience, while influencing key communicators and decision-makers. The threat attacks an enemy's perceived centers of gravity. For example, prolonging an operation and using all forms of media to show the devastation of conflict can sway public opinion against the effort. Statecraft, the art of conducting state affairs, and diplomacy, the art and practice of conducting negotiations with other states, are aspects of perception management conducted with foreign governments, and include those countries' populations as a target. The threat skillfully employs media and other neutral players, such as non-governmental and private volunteer organizations, to influence further public and private perceptions. It exploits the international media's willingness to report information without independent and timely confirmation. Individuals such as agents of influence, sympathizers, and anti-war protesters are also employed advantageously by the state or threat to influence the enemy's media, politicians, and citizenry. The state's Ministry of Public Information controls its own population's access to information and perceptions of reality. Successful preparation of the population significantly enhances public support for the threat's military actions. An information attack, sometimes called cyber attack, focuses on the intentional disruption or distortion of information in a manner that supports a comprehensive information warfare campaign. Unlike computer warfare attacks that target the information systems, information attacks target the information itself. Attacks on the commercial internet by civilian hackers have demonstrated the vulnerability of cyber and information systems to innovative and flexible penetration, disruption, or distortion techniques. Threat information attackers, cyber attackers, learn from and expand upon these methods. Information attack offers a powerful tool for the threat. For example, An information attacker may target an information system for sabotage, electronically or physically, or manipulate and exploit information. This may involve altering data, stealing data, or forcing a system to perform a function for which it was not intended, such as spoofing the air traffic control grid. Likely targets for an information attack are information residing in the critical infrastructures of an opponent, telecommunications links and switches, commercial infrastructures, and economic infrastructures. The threat will attempt to manipulate, control, or monitor data and information that are critical for the infrastructures. Tools for waging information warfare can include conventional physical and electronic destruction means, malicious software, denial of service attacks, news agencies, television, radio, the internet, traditional print media, communication networks, and diplomatic activities, as well as various types of reconnaissance, espionage, and eavesdropping technologies. The threat can employ information warfare tools from both civilian and military sources and assets of third-party sources. The threat sees the targets of strategic information warfare is the synergistic effort of the state to control or manipulate information events in the strategic environment, be they political, economic, military, or diplomatic in nature. Specifically, the state defines strategic information warfare as any attack, digital, physical, or cognitive, against the information base of an adversarial nation's critical infrastructures. The ultimate goal of strategic information warfare is strategic disruption and damage to the overall strength of the opponent. This disruption also focuses on the shaping of foreign decision-makers' actions to support the state's strategic objectives and goals. The National Command Authority is responsible for determining and articulating the state's strategic goals. The Strategic Integration Department then develops a strategic information warfare plan to support the national security strategy. The Strategic Integration Department has a special Strategic Information Warfare Planning Office dedicated to reviewing and integrating information-related plans of all state ministries, both military and civilian. This office can directly task information or information warfare-related elements of any ministry to support the plan. In time of war, the Planning Office continues to coordinate with all government ministries for further development and modification of the plan. However, it works most closely with the Ministry of Defense, specifically the General Staff, to ensure the development of the plan in concert with the Military Information Warfare Plan. In the General Staff, the Chief of Information Warfare handles information warfare functions that transcend service component boundaries. He reviews and approves the information warfare plans of all operational level commands as well as any separate theater headquarters that might be established. He drafts the overall military information warfare plan that, upon approval by the intelligence officer, is forwarded to the Operations Directorate of the General Staff for inclusion in the military strategic campaign plan. Once approved by the Chief of the General Staff, the Military Information Warfare Plan and the rest of the Military Strategic Campaign Plan are forwarded to the Strategic Integration Department for incorporation into the National Level Strategic Plan and the National Strategic Campaign Plan, respectively. During peacetime and preparation for war, the Chief of Information Warfare continues to review and refine the Military Information Warfare Plan. The threat conducts information warfare actions at the operational level to support strategic campaigns or operational objectives. The focus at this level is on affecting an adversary's lines of communication, logistics, command and control, and critical decision-making processes. The threat targets information or information systems in order to affect the information-based process, be it human or automated. Offensive information warfare involves the integrated use of subordinate and supporting capabilities and activities, mutually supported by intelligence, to affect an adversary's decision-makers or to influence others in order to achieve or promote specific threat objectives. Using the elements of information warfare offensively, the threat can either prevent an adversary from exercising effective command and control, challenge his quest for information dominance, or leverage enemy information systems to its own advantage. Simply put, offensive information warfare seeks to deny, degrade, destroy, disrupt, deceive, and exploit an adversary's information systems and capabilities. Offensive information warfare helps the threat seize and retain the initiative by degrading the enemy's information systems and forcing the enemy commander to be reactive. This can result in slowing the enemy's tempo, disrupting his decision cycle, and impacting his overall ability to generate combat forces and execute and sustain operations. Possible threat offensive information warfare activities and actions can include denying the enemy the information necessary to conduct operations, destroy, degrade, or distort, influencing the information, misinformation, manipulation, or spinning, disrupting the enemy's ability to observe and collect information and obtain or maintain information dominance. Degrading enemy information collection or destroying his collection means deceiving the decision-makers by manipulating perception and causing disorientation within the decision cycle, neutralizing or destroying the opponent's information capability by physical destruction of critical communications nodes and links. Defensive information warfare is the integration and coordination of policies and procedures, operations, personnel, and technology to protect and defend friendly information and information systems. Defensive information warfare also seeks to conceal the physical locations of critical information systems. Information warfare activities, particularly defensive measures, play a significant role in ensuring the viability and survivability of the threat command and control process. Information warfare defensive actions are planned at the strategic, operational, and tactical levels. Information warfare measures, combined with the mobility and redundancy of command and control systems, can provide a high degree of survivability, even if the enemy is successful in disrupting or destroying some elements of the process. The objectives of threat defensive information warfare activities and actions are protecting the information environment, detecting attack, restoring capabilities, responding to attack. Specific objectives of defensive information warfare include misleading the enemy concerning the threat's force structure, location, and intent, protecting all critical information and communication links, and ensuring maximum survivability of friendly high-value assets and combat power. To achieve these objectives, the threat conducts a variety of activities and actions that can provide for uninterrupted control of friendly forces, ensure survivability through extensive use of signature-reducing measures, conceal the identities and locations of critical elements, portray false force dispositions and threat unit strengths, portray false levels of preparation, readiness, and morale, portray false impressions of threat operational intent. An effective information warfare action demands the coordination of activities and capabilities into a single, focused plan. Any or all elements of information warfare may be effectively used in any given plan. The image here provides examples of objectives and targets. Threat information warfare planning occurs at all levels of conflict and before and after conflict. At the strategic level, the initial focus is achieving state objectives and supporting the strategic campaign plan. Perception management, protection and security measures, and computer warfare activities are critical at this level. As tensions escalate, information warfare at the operational level can be employed to disrupt the enemy's information systems, further demonstrating national resolve and military capability. The Chief of Information Warfare formulates the information warfare plan as an integral part of all ground, air, sea, and space operations. Just as there is a Chief of Information Warfare in the General Staff, there is a Chief of Information Warfare under the intelligence officer in all military staffs down to brigade level. Within those operational and tactical level staffs, the intelligence officer and Chief of Information Warfare are responsible for ensuring that all information warfare actions undertaken at their levels are in concert with the overall military information warfare plan and the strategic IW plan. As necessary, the Chief of IW in the General Staff can directly task each operational or tactical level Chief of IW to support the strategic information warfare campaign. The intelligence officer heads the intelligence and information section of the primary staff of an operational strategic command, OSC. He ensures that all intelligence requirements are met and coordinates all necessary national or theater-level assets for the information warfare plan. He must effectively organize his staff resources to plan, conduct, and execute information warfare. Traditional staff functions and relationships may be expanded or even redefined. The Chief of Information Warfare belongs to the secondary staff, heading a subsection under the intelligence officer. The Chief of Information Warfare supervises the execution of the OSC's information warfare plan. He is responsible for coordinating the employment of information warfare assets, including those subordinate to the OSC or affiliated forces and any supporting assets available at the national or theater level, planning for and supervising all information protection and security measures, supervising the implementation of the deception plan and perception management objectives, working with the operations section of the staff to ensure that targets scheduled for destruction support the information warfare plan, and if not, resolving conflicts between information warfare needs and operational needs, recommending to the intelligence officer any necessary actions required to implement the IW plan. The Chief of Information Warfare at each level of command submits his information warfare plan to the Chief of IW at the next higher level. The Senior Chief of Information Warfare issues directives to subordinate units' Chiefs of Information Warfare. These directives are part of the Operation Plan or Operational Directive, and can be part of the Strategic Campaign Plan (SCP). What the subordinates plan and execute must be in concert with the higher plan, and the higher headquarters also needs to ensure that the information warfare plan of one subordinate does not conflict with that of its adjacent units. The Chief of Information Warfare also plays a key role in coordinating IW activities with other staff sections and subsections, particularly with members of the functional staff. For instance, he coordinates with the Chief of Integrated Fires to ensure that deception and protection and security measures contribute to the success of fire support to offensive and defensive operations. He will also work directly with the Chief of the Reconnaissance, Intelligence, Surveillance, and Target Acquisition and IW section of the OSC's IFC headquarters to coordinate all necessary IW support to the IFC. Information warfare activities can support the overall fire support plan or provide a feasible non-lethal alternative to destroying key enemy formations or systems. The Chief of Information Warfare also coordinates with the Chief of Force Protection to prevent or mitigate the effects of hostile actions on critical information and information systems. He works closely with the Chief of Population Management and representatives from the Ministry of Public Information regarding coordination of psychological warfare and other perception management activities. The components of an information warfare plan include, at a minimum, the following: statement of overall state and military objectives and goals, definition of the missions of information warfare, public, private, military, and non-military, information warfare objectives of the next higher command, use of affiliated forces, use of civilians, individuals or organizations, on the battlefield, identification of all applicable state elements of power to assist in the execution of the information warfare plan, potential targets and tools for destruction, degradation, or exploitation, specific unit responsibilities. Specific plan elements include a review of the enemy's information warfare capabilities, an operational analysis of all relevant information infrastructures, location, ownership and vulnerabilities, requirements of information warfare capabilities, an organizational plan and staff responsibilities, a deception plan, and perception management objectives. Throughout the implementation of the information warfare plan, activities and success are monitored, and may result in a revision of the plan. The intelligence officer and the Chief of Information Warfare are providing feedback to the planning process. The threat uses information activities during all 4 strategic level courses of action: strategic, regional, transition, and adaptive operations. While certain elements of information warfare may be highlighted for a particular strategic course of action, all elements can be applied as necessary. Information warfare can support the threat against a regional peer or a technologically superior enemy. Information warfare can also be used to create and/or exploit windows of opportunity across all types of operations. Strategic operations can occur before and after armed conflict and in conjunction with any of the other 3 strategic courses of action during war. The state recognizes the value of information warfare in peacetime actions as well as during actual conflict. At this level, the state employs all the elements of information warfare to support its strategic objectives. Perception management, deception, and protection and security measures are especially critical during strategic operations. The state attempts to use all forms of international media to support state actions and objectives. It uses all types of information dissemination to project its desired spin of events, to gather international support, to weaken its enemy's resolve, and to force key decision makers to rethink any potentially damaging action against the state. In addition, the state develops a strategic deception plan to conceal its intentions from both the international audience and its own population. Once extraregional intervention begins, the military aspects of strategic operations become more aggressive, including use of physical destruction accompanied by other information warfare efforts to exploit its effects on enemy confidence and resolve. Strategic operations involve the application of any or all of the 4 instruments of power, including the informational, to target enemy strategic centers of gravity. Thus, information warfare targets during strategic operations might include key leaders and decision-makers, military and civilian, all relevant media outlets, diplomatic entities, relevant private institutions or influential organizations, public opinion, international and domestic, national will, enemy and friendly, commitment of alliance and coalition members. The Ministry of Public Information is responsible for the control and appropriate dissemination of all political, diplomatic, economic, and military information to the public and the international audience. That ministry is a key player in the development and execution of all strategic information warfare campaigns. At the operational level, the intelligence officer and chief of information warfare are responsible for ensuring that all information warfare actions are in concert with the national-level strategic information warfare plan. Information warfare activities during regional operations focus on controlling foreign perceptions of such operations and preventing the development of any international consensus to intervene. The state tries to keep foreign perceptions of its actions below the threshold that could invite intervention by extra-regional forces. To this end, perception management and deception campaigns are critical, for both domestic and international consumption. During regional operations, the state also conducts an internal information campaign to help maintain and strengthen the national will. The overall goal is to give the entire country a common focus and guarantee internal support. All elements of information warfare are important in regional operations. Depending on the specific conditions, electronic warfare, information attacks, protection and security measures, or perception management may dominate. During transition operations, the threat focuses information warfare activities on access control operations, perception management and deception campaigns, and protection and security of its information warfare assets. Deception activities focus on concealing the intentions of the threat as well as the likely course of the transition, either into adaptive operations or back to regional operations. Denying an adversary information dominance is critical during transition operations. The threat attempts to take advantage of the enemy's reliance on advanced command and control and reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition technology. Such technology and related communications and data links are critical to the enemies maintaining enhanced situational awareness and thus become the key targets of all information warfare actions. The protection and security of threat information warfare assets and related communications is always a critical element. However, its importance increases during transition operations, since the threat's paramount goal is to preserve all instruments of power and prepare for a possible move to more adaptive operations. The state's internal information warfare goal might be to convince its citizens that transition operations are necessary in order to exploit the many gains it has already made and to prevent the intervention of an extra-regional force. The state also conducts a ubiquitous information campaign to strengthen its national will by portraying the state as a victim of impending antagonistic actions, thus rallying support for state actions. In perception management campaigns targeting the international community, the state increases its emphasis on popularizing the state and its actions. If it is obvious that the threat will be overmatched by the extra-regional force that is about to intervene, the state may depict the intervening force as an unwanted aggressor involving itself in regional affairs in order to support its own selfish interests. This may lead to intense international media pressure. During transition operations, the state may implement a cleverly developed plan to fracture alliance or coalition support to extra-regional intervention. Against extra-regional threats, the threat begins to use more offensive and adaptive forms of information warfare. These include not only more aggressive information campaigns, but also information attack, electronic warfare, and increased emphasis on physical destruction. As extra-regional forces continue to deploy into the region, the threat can use information attacks on enemy command and control systems and to strip away the enemy's reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition capabilities. The threat uses perception management and other tools to attack the enemy's will to fight or otherwise continue its intervention, and to manipulate international opinion. If it still occupies territory of a neighboring country, it also tries to turn the populace there against the intervening extra-regional force. The state continues to leverage international media to influence world perception and public opinion within the extra-regional power zone populace. It also continues to censor and manipulate the media. The specific focus of information warfare in adaptive operations may include control access. Use all means necessary, including information warfare, to delay or disrupt entry into the region and ultimately defeat the intervening force. Control tempo. Use information warfare to attack critical command and control and logistics links, exploit atrocities of conflict. Use information warfare to weaken the enemy's resolve to remain committed while promoting the threat's position as a victim, neutralize technological overmatch. Use information warfare to attack critical command and control and reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition nodes and destroy supporting infrastructures. Attack reach-back links. Use information warfare to detect, jam, disable, or degrade critical nodes of communication. Counter information dominance. The very systems and links upon which technologically advanced enemies rely for information dominance also high payoff targets for information attacks or physical destruction. Denial of these resources at critical times can deny forces complete situational awareness. The threat can also use the enemy's robust array of reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition systems against him. His large numbers of sensors can overwhelm his unit's ability to receive, process, and analyze raw intelligence data and to provide timely and accurate intelligence analysis. The threat can add to this saturation problem by using deception to flood enemy sensors with masses of conflicting information. Conflicting data from different sensors at different levels, such as satellite imagery conflicting with data from unmanned aerial vehicles, can confuse the enemy and degrade his situational awareness. We have finally reached the end of this introduction about information warfare. I hope this explanation has enriched your knowledge. If you found it interesting, press the subscribe and the like buttons, leave a comment and share it with your friends. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching and bye for now.